Look, I'm the last speaker on the panel this afternoon, so Frank, I'll try and make up some time, which I promised to do. Ron, given that you said our builders won't be at work so much, with some of those potential negatives you raised, as I said, it's been an interesting time for our industry too, and whether we know it or not, this year we've seen 140 or thereabouts builders that are no longer in business, so it's a stressful time for everybody right at this moment. Thanks very much for having me here today, Frank. Representing the building industry, firstly, I do have to acknowledge for those who've got their notes, I've taken a demotion here this morning, Frank. I'm not out of the National Office. I'm the Executive Director of MBA ACT, which is more important for me. They're at the other end of the scale. They do as we tell them. So, look, at the delivery end from the building construction industry, obviously we've got an important role to play. We know we've got an important role to play, and we're having a number of discussions about how we actually provide builders that are able to meet the needs of people in this expanding market. I was drawn, as I did a little bit of research for today, to a quote that I saw, which was, "A person's home is a sanctuary, a place for rest, for socialising with friends and sharing life with significant others. It is an important platform for life in the community." And that was in a housing support for young people with disabilities transitioning to independent living, and study by the Youth Council of Victoria. And I think, as I said, it's something we can all relate to. We hear so much out there about housing stress. We hear so much out there about housing affordability. We know, or we possibly know, that the Senate Standing Committee on Economics, their inquiry on housing affordability, has now been extended from June 14 this year to report by November. It's the magnitude of the task, the magnitude of the complexity. Housing supply, the Housing Supply Council notes that up to 167,000 people are unable to meet their needs. We're seeing significant changes around ownership and rental, again contained with the latest or the last NHCS report. MBA National Forecast notes around 200,000 housing starts by around 2017, but we've got a current undersupply, notwithstanding the comments of Ron, of potentially around 300,000 dwellings. How much of that needs to be, do we need to consider in terms of dealing with people with special needs and with NDIS? Because I think as the industry, we haven't necessarily come to grips with that yet. What are the potential obligations of our industry, and how do we work with the disability sector and others to actually deliver on that need? Because it's no question it's a more complex environment out there today than it ever was. We've moved a long way from the innocence of the 50s and 60s and 70s, and so, as I said, I think it's beholden on all of us to understand as to what role we might have to play. I think the housing sector, both private and public, we need to be as one in this new challenge. I note some commentary that the housing sector has traditionally designed and built to form rather than to meet need. I think largely that's changing, and quite considerably. It may have been somewhat true in the past, but I think we understand now there is a greater ability, and I think there is an ability and an imperative to respond to a diverse community, one that we've got greater recognition of in this 21st century. I'm pleased to say, from our own end, we've got builders who are working quite specifically in that area, and in 2009 I think it was, Master Builder's National Award winner came from the ACT, who specialised in delivering housing for those with special needs, and I think that's it was a great feather in the cap of that young builder. I was at a forum yesterday on Capital Metro Light Rail, and what does that mean for everybody? And it's about new range of choice and options. I think that there's no question that through that project the government clearly has in mind this diverse economy, this diverse community that we're dealing with. There's been all sorts of speculation about what might happen around Capital Metro, and it's not just about putting people in multi-unit and high-density living. People want detached housing. They need detached housing as well. We've had a lot of discussion about potential adaptive reuse of buildings. There's a lot going on in that space at the moment in terms of office accommodation, older office accommodation. What's the ability to convert some of that place in very good locations that might deal with some of the requirements of those with special need? It's adjacent to town centres. We've seen schools as well where there's a lot of discussion about both aged care and schools. There are a lot of conversations going on. I met with the Chief Executive of Livable Housing, and that's for people, for the older people in the community to deal with their transition. But obviously, again, in discussions with the ACT government, a lot of consideration around universal housing and how we can actually work best with our industry. And again, as I said, we do acknowledge our role to play in this space. I just remind people, I don't know whether you'd know, but last year we built a thing called Charity House, and that was working with the ACT government, and that house was specifically built with universal design in mind. And I must say we were very pleased because we raised $582,000 for some people in the homelessness area and housing area of need. As I said, it's a complex situation, a complex subject matter, and it's something that we're all coming to grips with. Sometimes I get concerned when I hear that government isn't going to do it or can't do it. Then that begs the question, what are the initiatives, what are the incentives that can be provided for others? And it will take some incentive to participate in some of those solutions as we go ahead over time. As I said, from our industry's perspective, we've got a lot to do. We are having a lot of discussion around training and the need to train, but we need to understand that in the context of the need of the community. We can't just go out there and say, we'll train people and then we deliver something that's just not needed. So, as I said, there's a lot of conversations going on. Affordable Housing Action Plan of the ACT Government, phase 3 of that report noted 14 action items. It discusses the 20% of new development around or development around affordable housing and other initiatives. And EDD, I think it was point number 14, spoke about up to, an Englobo release of up to 60%, Ron, of property for affordable housing and other needs. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Look, Frank, in the interest of time, I'm happy to finish off there, except to say that we have been in discussion with CSD, Training Fund Authority, to see what role we can actively play in this space, because we think it's really important, and so that our industry is prepared and they're able to do it. It's technology, there's all sorts of things available there, but it's got to be in a cost-effective way that will deal with solutions for everybody. So thank you.